The one part that Ray left out of the introductions is that the Dave's cowboy hat's actually attached to him. Like it never comes off. He even sleeps with it at night.
When you get into the payment space, it has got to work like electricity. You turn the switch on, that light better come on, or you're looking for a different utility provider, right?
I mean, think about being able to pay with Shiba Inu at the point of sale. You tap, you've got 15 coins in your wallet, and your wallet finds the best rail through decentralized exchanges to get the guy on the other side XRP, because that's what he wants to hold. We're there. We're 6 to 12 months away from being there.
We're moving into this world where you're literally going to be able to pay with anything of value, like everything, all real world asset tokenization. Yeah, I mean, you could literally pay for your coffee with a fraction of your house. It's crazy to think about.
Bring the speakers for the first panel up on stage. We got Nathan Mahoney. He's the Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer of TrieveTech. Nathan Mahoney is the Chief Strategy Officer at TrieveTech, where he leads strategy behind payment-grade bill pay, network service banks, fintechs, and utilities. He directs cross-functional teams delivering fully hosted bill pay solutions via API-first and widget-based integrations, enabling financial institutions in all sizes to deploy next-generation digital payment capabilities efficiently and securely. This is where it gets really interesting. Nathan brings 9 years of banking experience and 5 years of fintech experience, specializing in digital product development, financial risk management, vendor oversight, and user-centered design. His leadership focuses on scaling AI-enabled solutions that drive revenue growth while optimizing operational efficiency. Prior to entering the financial services, Nathan served 9 years in the U.S. Marine Corps, where he was a helicopter pilot, leading complex operational missions and managing high-performance teams. His combined military and enterprise experience positioned him extremely well as a disciplined strategist focused on execution, scalability, and measurable performance outcomes. Thank you for joining. Also to Nathan's left is Dave Goodman. Man, this panel is stacked. Dave Goodman is a U.S. Navy veteran and technology executive with more than 30 years of experience scaling digital and global businesses across cloud computing, AI, blockchain, and digital transformation. He currently serves on the board of directors at Web3 Industries, a venture studio building decentralized applications at the intersection of tokenization and AI. During his 16 years at IBM, Dave designed and launched IBM's global enterprise cloud portfolio and became co-inventor of 6 U.S. patents, which he still owns today and forever. Right, Dave? So, as a senior advisor at ISG for nearly a decade, Dave guided Fortune 500 enterprises through multi-cloud transformation initiatives, consistently generating 20 to 40% cost reductions and 8-figure savings programs. His career reflects sustained impact and enterprise-scale innovation, governance, and shareholder value creation. To Dave's left is John Wingate, the CEO of BankSocial. John is the founder and CEO of BankSocial, a blockchain infrastructure company, a first to market, really interesting, a white hat, focused on integrating decentralized finance solutions with regulated financial institutions. He is a serial entrepreneur with experience spanning cross cryptocurrency, development, software, engineer, marketing strategy, so much more, so much business experience. In addition to fintech innovation, John has built and operated ventures across multiple sectors, including construction and technology services, a best-selling author, brilliant mind, and a keynote speaker. He combines technical expertise with entrepreneurial execution, consistently focusing on building scalable systems that align with emerging technologies and real-world adoption and infrastructure. To his left is the moderator and the tallest man in the room. His name is Will Carr, founder of Genesis Nutrition. Will is the founder of Genesis Nutrition and a blockchain investor focused on decentralized finance and yield-generating strategies across established layer 1 blockchains and ecosystems. With a degree in industrial and systems engineering, Will applies system-based thinking to both health and optimize in digital asset investing. I can keep going on about Will as well. He's a great family man. While he's over here, he's also raising his daughter. He's got so much on his plate, and he's just showing up every day. You're the man, Will. But without any further ado, I'm going to let these guys take over and get into the content. Again, thank you all for joining. Let's give them one round of applause.
Yeah, well, thanks, Ray. This is really looking forward to this panel. The one part that Ray left out of the introductions is that the Dave's cowboy hat's actually attached to him. Like it never comes off. He even sleeps with it at night. XRP cowboy hair. But anyway, guys, yeah, great crowd here. We're gonna get started. First, I want to start just by asking, Dave, let's get into it. Can you give us kind of a technical update of what's going on in the blockchain space, where we're at, and where it's headed?
Yeah, I'll probably say, well, that's really I'd probably talk about a lot of things you may be familiar about. Obviously, we're going through some pretty massive changes. As you heard from my background, I've been in the tech industry all my career, always on that, call it the bleeding edge. Anyway, I've been in the industry, obviously, for a very long time, as you heard, and so I've seen the evolution of these technologies. Obviously, with the invention of cloud, it wasn't called cloud originally, but cloud, for most people don't realize, we started that back in the mid-'90s, right, developing that, but most people probably actually saw and heard about it maybe 2015, if that. So I think, the point and the reason I'm bringing that up is that a lot of you have been learning about blockchain, and that's been around for a while as well. But one of the things that really drive or kind of slow down is the enterprise adoption, right? It takes a long time for these companies to actually adopt new technology, and they're usually not doing it just for one piece of technology. It's usually redundant. They're trying to meet compliance, whatever their business processes require, and you'll see that'll be just a slow process that'll happen. So I think we're at the cusp where things are going to start taking off here pretty soon once we get the Clarity Act. Obviously, I'm sure everybody's waiting on that. It's great that we've got Stablecoin Act and making some really good progress. So I think this year and next year we're going to see a lot of changes in this space and start getting some traction.
Anybody want to add?
Yeah, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. I think we're right on the cusp. I would actually say we've jumped just over the cusp. If anybody's heard of, the kind of the trough of illusionment period, we've come out of it, in my estimation. And we're now on the other side of mass adoption. We work with banks who are some of the slowest banks, financial institutions all over the world. They're some of the slowest adopting institutions, but this is really at its underpinning. There's a lot of financial ramifications to these tools rolling out, but we're actually starting to see adoption at mass scale with XRP. We talk about it with Jake all the time, but it doesn't stop there. It extends into a lot of these different ledgers and tools. But I would say that we've crossed that chasm, and we're now on the other side where mass adoption is happening in real time. You're likely going to start seeing here within the next 6 to 12 months massive organizations coming out that are going to be fully implementing blockchain, digital ledger technologies. It's going to start with banking. It'll likely go to digital identity and other flows that layer on top of finance, and then we'll eventually see it move into data. We'll see it move into DePIN. You already started. I talked to an interesting gentleman here tonight. Decentralized physical infrastructure, so ways to gather data in a decentralized way. So you're going to start to see a real big proliferation here over the next 6 to 12 months.
Well, speaking of payment rails and banking, Nathan, I want to get to a question for you. So as we're moving into this quantum world, what are some of these barriers to entry and what are the barriers to adoption that you're seeing? I mean, your specialty's in payments. So I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so I've been involved in almost every payment method that we can do in the United States. So I've directly owned bill pay experiences that were powered by virtual cards, ACH transactions, EBN transactions on things like MasterCard's RPPS, check rails. When I was in USA, on the Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay integrations, I've stood up open banking integrations. I was actually on the FDX standard when that got stood up. It used to be FS Isaac. And so I've watched a lot of new things get adopted by the banking industry, which is surprising if you're inside a bank that they would adopt anything that's new. It's really, really painful. And I've been one of the ones that have been on the leading edge, kind of crawling on broken glass, getting those approvals, getting the controls environments in place, getting regulatory clarity, and those kinds of things. The one thing that I will say, the obvious value proposition of XRP can't be argued. Immutability is incredible. The transparency is amazing, and the promise that it could be quantum proof So that kind of level of security and potentially begin to settle in real time tied to real world assets is incredible, right? There's so much promise to that. The barriers to entry, though, when you get into the payment space, it has got to work like electricity. You turn the switch on, that light better come on, or you're looking for a different utility provider, right? So for a payment rail, and I've done this, I've tied into new payment rails, operational resiliency is a must. When you start talking SLAs in the payment space, it's a race of nines, right? Your SLA is just kind of, it's almost impossible to reach. And so the way that we're going to start measuring the mass adoption curve that John was talking about is folks that are capable of building products that incorporate new payment methods need to be able to do that in a way that they believe is predictable. Predictability, every single time I turn the switch on, it comes on, is how you breed trust. And as long as I can get trust in a secure and compliant way within the right framework, then I've overcome the barriers to adoption.
That's great. Well, John, can you speak more to like, you know, what as the regulatory is coming in play, and you know we have all this quantum data flow and there's payment flow. Just speak to kind of how that evolution is continuing.
So I might be able to just talk without this because I'm pretty loud, but not as loud as you though. You know what we've seen. So I've been a part of. I was looking back the other day, and we helped write McHenry Waters. We helped write Stable Genius. We helped write. We actually contributed a significant amount of the operating framework for what is now coming out as the Genius Act. What is now coming out as Clarity. And to build upon what you said, the biggest differentiator, because we're doing this for banks, we've got we're about to have about 150 on a combination of XRP payment rails, really multi-chain rails is the best way to think about it. But the difference in all those rails that you just described is they all had a centralized intermediary. You had to, in FDX, in card schemes, in every scheme you just identified, ACH, whatever it is, you had to have a permission to get into that, right? What you don't have on these new rails is the need for permission. We can take any bank, and to kind of quantify the failover, if you've got 5 or 6 different rails, and banking we think real time in banking, like if it happens in a minute, you're super stoked, right? You can actually fail over. So we create failover across chains because. Look, Solana goes down. Ripple's never really went down, but Solana goes down, right? But to be able to provide that resiliency, there are other ways, there are other methodologies in place, and so we don't see what we see is the optimization of payments in a way that allows these companies to move at extreme pace with no permission and do whatever. Now that the Genius Act, that's why we wrote the Genius Act. It's called a payment stablecoin, so it's not called a stablecoin. It's actually called a payment stablecoin. It's why interest can't be given on it right now. We'll see if that changes. I don't think it will. But what absolutely won't change is how these tools are going to start to be fundamentally used across really every type of data flow that exists. First, again, it's going to start with finance because that's a very fundamental underpinning of society. And then it's going to move into other data flows. And when we start talking about quantum, we were talking about quantum before, the way that payment flows are going to work, especially when you have discretionary agents or we were talking about non-discretionary agents, but when you have the ability for you to be holding any asset in your pocket, and through an X402 tap-to-pay presentment, you get presented with 20 other payment options, Bitcoin, XRP, USDC on XRP, and your wallet and your agent in your wallet can figure out through DEXs and centralized exchanges in any country, in any place on the earth, how to pay within 3.5 seconds. That's literally we're 6 to 12 months away from that. And these systems are the fundamental operating layers of that type of future interoperability that has the failover capability where you're not having to worry about, well, what happens if my ACH provider goes down? What happens if my FDX provider goes down, right? You don't have to worry about that. You can go out, quantum connect with all these rails, have quantum failover, have quantum connectivity to any payment. I mean, think about being able to pay with Shiba Inu at the point of sale. You tap, you've got 15 coins in your wallet, and your wallet finds the best rail through decentralized exchanges to get the guy on the other side XRP because that's what he wants to hold. We're there. We're 6 to 12 months away from being there. I just did this we launched a wallet into a bank in the United States, and I was able to do this down in Bolivia, because in the airport in Bolivia, guess what they don't take? Anything except for USDT. That's all you can take. That's all they take in Bolivia, in the airport in Bolivia, is USDT. And I have pictures. If you don't believe me, I'll show you, just so you can understand just how this is proliferating throughout the world. It's already happening internationally, and it's about to start happening domestically.
Yeah, well, I would say if I had any Shiba Inu, that's what I would want to pay with, just so I could get rid of it.
Right, exactly. Exactly. That's why I said it.
Will someone take this shit off my hands?
Exactly. That's the first thing I want. Get it? Yeah, sell.
But I think you bring up a really good point. Like, payment rails in past has been U.S. dollars or maybe some other type of fiat currency, right? We're moving into this world where you're literally going to be able to pay with anything of value, like everything, all real world asset tokenization. Yeah, I mean, you could literally pay for your coffee with a fraction of your house. It's crazy to think about. But like, Nathan, how do you see? I want to hear from you, since the payment rails is your expertise area. As payment rails change into this new infrastructure where we can literally pay with anything that has valuable. I could pay with my Pikachu card, from as I was a kid. How is that going to change the way that payment rails work in a very basic sense?
So my take on this is most technology problems are human adoption problems. Like, just to call it what it is. And the human adoption barrier comes when there's an overwhelming abundance of choice. So I say that to say, I think that the killer application for all of this is when your average daily consumer doesn't have to know about anything you just said. When I can show up and I pull something out of my pocket and it goes beep and it's settled, we won. Like, that's the barrier to adoption. And I think what will happen is, over time, for economic forces, for technology forces, for compliant reasons, and then especially for just, I keep focusing on trust, because in all the time that I've spent in payments and in all this time I've spent in banks, I do not think that there's a higher currency than trust. And so as long as you can keep that, I think that there will be a natural migration to things that have more obvious value, as long as trust remains equal. But it's got to be easy.
Trust and transparency. We call it trustparency. We created a word for it.
So it's the same thing as not trust. You can just see, which is actually better.
Only there was some bridge asset, that can do all this.
Some immutable ledger that could facilitate all this.
Well, yeah, guys, this has been wildly fun. Like, Dave, anything you've been quiet over here for a few minutes. That's out of character for you.
I started it, and then I've been sitting here listening to everybody. I think one of the key points, and I think they kind of mentioned it, is that as these enterprises adopt, John's talking about the next 6 to 12 months, we talk about the XRP ledger a lot. It's really going to be multiple infrastructures that will be supporting these environments. And so I think it goes to the point that you were making, is that in a lot of cases, you're going to see clients won't even know any of this stuff is being used, right? They'll have no view to it whatsoever. But in these financial institutions, and I know we use the word bank a lot, but financial institutions are much more than banks, right? And every one of them, the redundancy, the requirements that they have for their businesses to run, guarantee you they're not going to go with one solution. Never going to happen. Right. And also, it's going to be not just redundant, but there's going to be other solutions that have can meet different requirements for whatever's happening in that particular part of the business, right? So this is going to take time to evolve. I've just seen it over, many decades. People want it to happen really fast, and I know we'd all like to see it happen by the end of the year. I think we're going to see things, part of the environment, the banking guys and stuff, they're all communicating. They've got plans. They've got, these things are scheduled, so we'll probably see, movement at times, but they're going to move when they're ready, right?
No, please.
I was gonna say, I'll leave you with more than hope here. Okay, I can't drop names of the actual institutions, but I can tell you right now that we are working with what are called bankers banks. Some of the largest. They support hundreds or thousands in some case. banks underneath them. Chase doesn't need them, but every other bank does. And we're working right now, one of the largest in the United States, it's a top 20 bank, and they are a reseller of point of sale systems, to your point. And we are working on a pilot right now. They have 450 financial institutions that are in on this pilot, and it's Quantum Rail. It's got XRP on it. It's got all these other rails on it. To do, right now it's QR code scan, and the only reason why it's QR code scan is because the digital banking providers, so your banking app, hasn't enabled tap to pay, but that's a very easy enablement. And we already have proof of concept, proof of pilots for merchants to walk in. It'll be tap next, but right now it's QR code scan. That's happening right now. So you'll probably see that in the next 6 months rolling out in certain areas. It'll start probably in the southern region of the United States because that's where most of these banks are. But then you'll start, so pay by bank through crypto rails is about to be a thing in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I'll leave with one final note. So long as these use cases are built on top of platforms that are relatively easy to build on, there's a thing that's adjacent to this, but it will impact the adoption of any of the concepts that we talked about today, which is the acceleration of AI development. And I know that's not the topic of this particular panel, but the company that I run with a single engineer, I'm able to churn out 350,000 lines of code in 4 weeks with one engineer. And the multi-agentic use cases that you can plug into your systems now and how fast you can generate new products, new concepts, new developments digitally would surprise you. And so long as what is built is stable, it's predictable, trustable, has the governance in place so that people can trust it, all you got to do is expose the API and you will be shocked how fast this country adapts that. So I think we're very close. We're right on the cusp of something that I think is very exciting. It's actually one of the reasons I'm here. I don't know as much about this community as I want to, and I'm looking forward to learning more from all of you.
Well, I just say, yeah, to wrap up, as awesome it is to hear about all these things, and as bullish as I am on certain blockchains, I'm most bullish on humanity as a whole. Like, I spend a lot of time at college campuses talking to student athletes. And the thing that I will say is all the people in this room, all the people that I interact with, as awesome as things like XRP are, the people and the world that we're moving into, that is what's so awesome, because there's so many like good quality people out there that really just want to see the world be as epic as it can be. So that is what I will leave you with. As bullish as I am on crypto, I'm even that much more bullish on all the people here and humanity as a whole. So.